All right, we are live. We are live, my friends. It's another Let's Talk with the Doc. I'm excited to be here as always, and I'm looking forward to a very exciting night. So I'm glad to have the Bishop, Dr. Barry B. Morris, is back with me tonight, and we're gonna talk about the Bahama Brass Band. We're gonna have some history and some clips of music. So it's going to be a good night. So I look forward to this conversation. So, my friend, you stay right there. Invite all your friends to join us because it's going to be a fun time. And when I come back, I am going to be talking to the bishop about the Bahama Brass Band and the history behind it. Oops, that's not what I want to play. This is what I want. ORB Ministry presents Let's Talk with the Doc. Grace Without Borders podcast. A thought for you. Ask Pastor. And a whole lot more. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. All right. So here we are, my friends. It is Let's Talk with the Doc, and Bishop Barry Morris is here with me. And oh, but you didn't adjust your own camera, Bishop. You didn't adjust your own camera to get your head up,
Uh,
a little bit more to the ceiling, so we don't have too much
I
on the camera.
was, I was drawing down
And,
something from
and
above.
is it others he say, but himself he cannot say, right? All right, so here we are. We're gonna be having a conversation about the Bahama Brass Band. Last time you were here, we are talking about your story. Now
Yeah,
we're gonna talk a little bit more about the ministry of the Bahama Brass Band, the ministry,
yes,
the journey, the ups and downs, the achievements, the travels. The challenges.
yes.
So here we are tonight. So how was your day today?
My day was great. My day was great. I just returned from the big city in London.
Oh,
Yes, I was in London for a few days, and now I'm back. I was in London, seeing about some things about this wonderful ministry that I'm a part of, called the
okay,
Bahama Brass Band.
okay.
And of course, I was privileged to have the opportunity to be the preacher at the Sunday morning service at the House of Bread, Church of God of Prophecy, in South London.
All
Uh,
right.
I had a tremendous time. The Lord bless. Souls were saved, people were healed and delivered. It was a
Oh,
beautiful service. Yes,
that's good. That is good news. That is, it's a good report. Make the bone fat,
bone
right?
fat. Yes, sir.
A good report make the bone fat. So
Yes, sir.
that is good report. That is good report. Um, where do I want to start? So the we want to get an insight into this phenomenal Bahama Brass Band. And you're gonna give me as much as historic background, how this how this all started. What's the in the incubatory stages of this thing, whose vision it was, and how did this break out to get to where it is, for all the many decades, and the impact that it has had on lives so many places. And I must say, it impacted me at least one special time that I can never forget. And I told you the last time, way back in 1973, I think it was at 36 Maxwell Avenue. I won't make myself part of the story, but I can tell you that
It's all right. You're a part of the story. You
I,
are a part of the
I,
story.
I, I had to tell my wife. I had to tell my wife that, and she laughed at me because I told her when the band came in. I think it was a Friday night. They kind of just came in, and they came in blasting in that building, 36 Maxwell Avenue. And I tell you, I was having such a good time, and the thing that get me was the circle bass.
Mm.
The circle bars got me. Every time the guy said pop 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 pop, I mean pop 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 pop. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that then took me off my feet.
Oh
That thing
boy.
took me off my feet, and I hit the ground. I
Yes.
hit the
Yes.
ground, man. That's it. That was an unforgettable moment. That was my first Bahama Brass Band experience. So
Experience.
yeah, yeah, back then. So yeah, I got my hit.
There you go.
I got my hit literally.
Amen.
All right. So tell us what you can tell us about the Bahama Brass Band, the origin of it, where how it started, whose vision it was. If you have all that detail, in the
Mm.
archives, what
Yes.
can we know about the band that everybody fall in love with? Everybody love the Bahama Brass Band. When that thing come into the General Assembly, it make the lame get up and walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, under the ministry of our first national overseer, uh, Bishop Ferguson, the then Evangelist Alvin S. Moss, along with three other brethren, decided that they would come together and start a musical institution that would play for various conventions and special services that the church would have, and government services, just to provide music. And
But before not to break you, but before you
go
could
ahead.
get to that point
Hmm.
of wanting to provide that level of service and music, there has to be the foundation already laid. So the music must have already been available. People are involved, but now they say let's take it to another level.
Well, the they weren't playing as yet, they were musicians as such, but
Right, just
they
musicians
learned,
playing
yeah, they
locally.
learned, right. And so they decided, being influenced by, we had the police band going on in the Bahamas at that time, because the police band is the only band that exceeds the Bahama Brass Band in age in the Bahamas.
Hmm.
And so, being inspired, the church should have its own band. We could have our own band. And they started playing, four of them. And then it mushroomed and began to grow. That was in New Providence. In Grand Bahama, it started with one man who was exposed to the band, like you were, and smitten, and then went to learn how to play the trumpet. This is in Grand Bahama. And he started playing, and then after he played, uh, they heard him play. Then a group of other young men decided that they would join the ranks and begin to play, learn music, and play. And so we had band growing in New Providence, and we had band growing in Grand Bahama. And so these bands existed, even though they played the same music, they existed as separate entities until the 1970s.
Oh,
Now, in the 1960s, they began playing together, as it were. Um, but uh, the real amalgamation didn't take place until the 70s. But the band in both areas, the idea is the same: provide gospel music for church events, crusades, conventions, and you name it. And so these men were so inspired, and in their time, being so, it became like a magnet that drew young men to it. And through the years, of course, the band started with all ministers.
Really,
Yes, all ministers, and it just developed into
that's
that.
what you call ministers of music.
And so the band itself became a ministry. You know how those our elderly brothers were. You come, it's time to pray, seek the Lord. You gotta, there's an exhortation, a mini service, just to get people's hearts in tune with uh, what happened. And it was such a vision uh, to behold. But the Stanley Ferguson, who was our first national overseer, he, under the influence of the Spirit, said that this band is going to play before royalty.
Mm.
And and it so happened that when the Bahamas was becoming independent, Prince Charles came to our shores, and the band was right there, engaged, putting on a parade, marching and playing our music. Now, I'm going to tell you, we're not ashamed to play our music.
Hmm.
And the music that we do have, it cannot be found anywhere else. We've had men who have in Grand Bahama. We had men who went to Turks and Caicos, and they started a band down there, but it's still not the same. You had men from New Providence and Grand Bahama who went to the United States, came to South Florida, and put bands together, even as far as Philadelphia. And they played the same songs, but it's not the same thing. The Bahama Brass Band is a very, very, very unique, I call it animal sometimes. But it is very unique. It is God's gift to us, and we treasure that highly. But you would notice that through the course of time, you're talking from 1925. Next year, the band is going to be celebrating a combined 170 years, 100 years in New Providence and 70 years in Grand Bahama. So, on equal terms, the Bahama Brass Band is a senior citizen. Uh, and I mean, it is a delight to see through the years how the band has grown and developed and produced so many wonderful bishops and pastors and evangelists. And we have people who I mean, succeeded or successfully in the secular arena. We've had members of parliament who are members of the band. We have ambassadors for our country who are members of the band.
Wow.
Law enforcement officers who are members of the band. Magistrates,
Wow.
lawyers,
Wow.
doctors who are members of the band. Saved men,
Wow.
because the band is it's a Christian organization. It's Jesus first. When we gather in our rehearsals, we pray. For me, every man must quote his scripture. You have to, you gotta have, gotta have the word in your heart. And so we go around the room, everyone quoting a scripture. Of course, there's an exhortation. We have a devotion, a good, healthy devotion, because we want to get our hearts in tune with God. Our music, what we play, and we understand that in the world there are much more qualified musicians than we are, but we depend on God to do
I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, So,
but we depend on God as we share our gifts. And that's why I believe when we play, faith is stimulated. Sometimes people don't understand, they don't know a word to the songs that we're playing, but somehow there's a God component in there that begins to stir the faith of people. I remember my first exposure to the band at the General Assembly. The band played in Grand Bahama,
Your
right?
first exposure to the band
In no, at the General Assembly.
at the General Assembly.
At the
Okay.
General Assembly, I grew up hearing the band from a child. But when I went to the General Assembly, uh, I was 12 years old, and the band was playing at the healing service, and they brought this man in on a stretcher, and I could remember the tone. Later, I learned the words, the theme of the song, and a few of the words. The song was "Touch the Hem of His Garment," and the band was playing that, and the chorus of that song says, "Touch the hem of His garment, and you too shall be free.
Yes,
His
sir.
saving power
This
this
very
very
hour.
hour will
Bring
bring
new
new
life to
life
you,
to
man.
thee."
Oh,
And
yes.
listen, that band played that, and the,
Woo.
the the brother that they brought in on the stretcher. I mean, brethren are holding him up on the stretcher. The man was paralyzed from his neck down, and he leaped out of the stretcher
Oh, my goodness.
and began to run around the tabernacle. That was it. I said, Jesus, I gotta join this band. I have to. It's a must.
Wow.
And there are so many other wonderful experiences like that that I have witnessed while the band is while the band is providing ministry. So many people lifted in testimonies of faith. And the band, its ministry, it's just second to none. Because when you look at it, we talk about the professionals that we have in the band, but we also have generations in the band. So we have members who are in the band whose great 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 grandfather started the was in the beginning for, right? And so we have that. We have great or grandsons in Grand Bahama whose fathers started the institution in Grand Bahama. And matter of fact, we have right now we have father, son, grandson who are playing in the band. So it's a generational thing from male to male to male. Someone asked a question today on Facebook: when will women have an opportunity to be a part of the Bahama Brass Band and to be the director? Well, I said, well, it's a men's ministry, so you could answer the rest. So, yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. All right. It's
yeah,
it's a men's ministry. Okay.
yes,
So it's exclusive.
correct.
Okay. So
Uh,
so they can get a female version of the
they
of
can
they get
listen.
a female
The
version.
sisters can do it. The sisters can do it. They can have a female version of it, get together and learn their instruments. I'll teach them how to play and all. But as far as the Bahama Brass Band is concerned, it is a men's ministry that has developed and pruned and produced some of the greatest men in the Church of God of Prophecy, in the Kingdom of God, and in our nation. Uh, Go ahead.
It's interesting because I should have thought of it but didn't think of it, but I should have, especially because you are a professional. You have a big secular job as well, so I should not have I shouldn't have what's the word, I should have thought of the possibility of people of all level of profession, secularly, who are part of the band. But I never thought of it. But it's interesting that you brought it out tonight.
Mhm.
That at all almost all the levels of government except me, the prime minister, maybe.
That may be next. I wouldn't have a problem with
We
that.
gotta make sure that he can play music first, right?
Oh yes, yes. And the history is rich in the band, in terms of it's the band has been traveling to the assembly since the 1930s. Okay, since the 1930s, the band made its first trip to the assembly in the 1930s, and it has been amazing from the 1930s the band has missed 1 year of the assembly, uh, but the band continues to be a tremendous blessing. You know, the band, when we travel, the band makes its own personal sacrifice. The men consult their wallets, their bank accounts, and all of the heavy lifting. You can imagine what goes. All of us travel, and so we understand once we get to that counter, that airline is charging you uh, anywhere from $25 to $75 for your first piece. Now, could you imagine? You got your bag, then you got the big your favorite horn. Uh, you got trombones, you got saxophones, you got drums, and all that kind of thing, and it's out of our pockets.
Wow.
We pay that, and that's how we get around the world.
I've always really I've always wondered. I've wondered, not inquired, but I wondered, because this massive Bahama Brass Band is at all of the General Assemblies. This massive amount of men, an instrument, and every single assembly and at different events. And I'm saying, how do they travel?
A big
How
word. There's a big word we learned in the Bahama Brass Band. It's called sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
sacrifice.
everybody in the band everyone has good job or good support system around them. Everybody
Uh,
got good job because you guys travel frequently and go many places.
Well, it's not that either, but it's also how we help one another. So
Mhm.
sometimes a brother may not be able to go. Just like when we went to Cuba in May, and there was a brother who was planning to go, but his something happened on his job. He had an emergency, and he could not make it any longer, and so he had his ticket money. And so he just said to me, he said, "Well, Bishop, I can't go anymore. If there is a brother who desires to go but is struggling," he says, "Here's the money." And he gave me the money to pay for someone else's tickets. And then, we try to have our fundraisers to
There you
raise
go.
money to help us to go. And so we depend likewise on the generosity of others to
Okay.
help us to travel where we go. And could you imagine, from 1935 this band has been moving, and when they first started to go to the assembly, it was very, very unique because they had to leave New Providence on a steamship. So that wasn't happening with any degree of speed. They were on a steamship, and then a white brother would have to come in a truck to pick them up in South Florida, right? Now, in today's kind of moving, I like road trips, and so I've driven from anywhere from Miami to Canada, New York, Texas. I've done just about all
You
on the
drive from
streets.
Miami to Canada.
Yes, sir. I've done it, and I've done that over 20 times. Just drive, and I do that on one breath. Yeah, I don't sleep anywhere. I just keep on driving until I reach where I
Are
go.
you kidding me?
I'm serious.
So you're a beast.
Halfway. And but could you imagine these brethren with instruments on a steamship taking days to get to South Florida, and then having to drive in 1935 in the back of a truck? Cars, the speed limit now is about 75 miles per hour on I-95, I-75.
Hmm.
And so you could get to a Chattanooga within 10 hours, you know. Now, could you imagine on the back of a truck that probably could make no more than 20 miles per hour? And when they would get to places like Georgia, where they were not kind to people of color, uh, you would find that the bondmen, they couldn't use the bathrooms, that kind of thing. But of course, the drivers would arrange for special places for the band to go so that the men can refresh themselves, whatever the case may be. But when they got to Georgia, they had to lay down in the back of the truck and be covered with tarp, not to be seen by anyone while they were driving through Georgia, in order to get to Chattanooga, where the assembly would be held, and they would be safe. And so they had to. That's the way they got to the assembly.
So Georgia was more prejudicial than Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee, you were under the protection of the church.
Mm,
You see,
interesting.
out on the streets, you know, you're fair game. And so, so those brethren had to lay down in the back of trucks for hours. And Georgia's a very big state, and
So
so
what was the threat, and how the band get to realize the danger that they face, that to create the awareness that we have to take extra cover?
the truck driver,
The truck driver. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
the truck driver would be that brother. He would be the one to tell them, okay, now at this point you gotta lay down. We gotta, and
Wow.
this thing went on all through the 30s and 40s.
Wow.
This same dynamic went on until, of course, the band was able to fly in, and that kind of thing. And so the band went through that just to deliver the music that we play. And many people don't know that. Many people have not been aware of that. We just lost one of our Brother Anderson Ferguson, who was one of our eldest members. He died in '91, and he was the young man on those trips.
Wow.
And so he was the young guy, the young band member, and he of course was the only one living who heard the original four play. So he, according to his testimony, he would sit on the altars of the church and listen to them play. And then, of course, he eventually became the drummer for the band and played various instruments. He learned the trumpet. He played your favorite instrument, and he taught scores of others to play. He was a very, very talented musician. And so, a lot of the stories we were able to glean from him, you know, uh, you know, not being able, when you got in Tennessee, there's the white water pump and the black water pump and the white bathroom and the black bathrooms. Uh, that was the order of the day. But it was the Bahama Brass Band who actually changed the dynamic of all that. Because after you had played on the hot parade, you white. I'm thirsty, and you got white head on the water fountain. But we didn't give any care to that. Those brethren started. They were drinking from black fountain, gray fountain, white fountain, uh, and because and that was a demonstration of no matter what color you are, we're one people. Yeah, and so of course the general overseer made declaration that those signs be taken down. They're not to be. They should not be among us
And that's at the assembly.
at the assembly.
So they actually had those signs at the assembly,
At the assembly.
at the Church of God of Prophecy building in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yes, sir. It was in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, before we get to Cleveland.
You're right. And of course, those signs were taken down.
What?
Yeah, because the law had it to be that way. But
Wow.
but we determined after that we just have to go. We just have to go to jail. So they took the signs down, and
Can't wait until the black one available, because we desperate to get
oh
one.
yeah, man, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. I wonder how many people even have an awareness of that experience way back then. Oh my God. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Barry B. Morris, director of the Bahama Brass Band, and we have on cue I'm gonna say what's his brother, whatever his brother Billy L. Dickinson, who is deputy
Yeah, so he's my assistant in Grand Bahama.
assistant
Yeah,
director, right?
right. And let me
Assistant
just
minister.
let me just clarify here that of course the band operates in two areas, and so there's a Nassau side to the band, and there's a Grand Bahama side to the band, and we are in Grand Bahama, of course. The directors for New Providence, Brother David Beneby, Brother Livingston Butler, and Brother Charles Hanna. But we are responsible for the Grand Bahama side. But we because we amalgamated, we work together uh, to make the whole program a continuous, just like a river flowing.
So,
Uh,
there's a mini Bahama band in splitting up in different locations, and then you bring them together for big events.
correct,
Correct. Yes,
correct.
absolutely. Yes. And see, that's one of the dynamics of the band as well. Bishop Beckford is that very rare. We have rehearsals together, but we do have a trip plan. We would just come together and without a beat. You would think we rehearse together, but it just come naturally over the years of us playing together, and we play the music the same way. So you wouldn't hear much difference in the way we play the music. So whether you're in Grand Bahama or whether you're in Nassau, the music is the same. Same flavor, same drumming, the same phrases, with the various instruments, practically the same.
I'm curious, Bishop. Can you? Is it on the record? What were the first four pieces of instrument that formed the band? The first four pieces. Anybody can say which one it was? A trumpet, a trombone, saxophone, drum. What was it? Do anybody know what
Well,
the first
I'm
four
I'm
pieces?
aware I'm aware that in the mix there was a trumpet,
Yep.
there was a mellophone, there was a trombone. I don't know what the fourth piece was. I guess that's a big secret.
To be discovered.
Yes.
Wow, wow. Okay, we have a couple of clips tonight that we're gonna play from the band. I wish I had more clips, but I have a couple of clips. This dynasty. I'm gonna call it, musical dynasty of a band. And the name has been spread. If you say the Bahama Brass Band, I think every single person worldwide who is connected to the I'm talking about Church of God of Prophecy right now. Everybody who is connected to the Church of God of Prophecy anywhere in the world know about the Bahama Brass Band. If you don't know about the Bahama Brass Band, you maybe just came by like a couple
This
months
morning.
ago. A couple months ago, just a couple months ago, and you were far away from church even during your time. But if you're anywhere close to church, then the Bahama Brass Band you'd know about the Bahama Brass Band. It is just like and people just like can't wait. People look at their convention program to see when the band is going to play, because as I said, all the people who can't walk run when the band is moving around, and this following, this connectivity to the band, it is incredible. So the band has grown over the years. Where would you say, and we're gonna go back into some of these the stories, and get it bit by bit as much as we can, and drop a clip in here and there about the band. If you never know the brass band, and then you're gonna get to know the Bahama Brass Band, and it says like GB in the Grand Bahama. You're gonna identify that, and as I put on the flyer, I bet you didn't know some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight about the band. So, all right, let's continue the conversation, Bishop.
Yes, and so sometimes some people talk about the band and females joining the band. Now, of course, that does not work very well for some dynamics because sometimes the band travels, and sometimes when people make you promise, we're gonna take care of the hotel rooms or we're gonna get you a place to stay, and then you come up 3 rooms short, 4 rooms short, and now we gotta downsize. That's going to be a problem. You got sisters in the mix. Brothers who can come together and decide, okay, you sleep on the floor, the next one sleeps this. But then you got a sister in the mix. The sister got to work all by herself. So that's one whole room that's gone.
Well,
Uh,
I guess it would have been more than once. You'd have to couple them up again. But again, I think we can settle the conversation by just saying, hey, historically it is a men's ministry. That
Correct.
is not discrimination.
It ain't, no, not at all.
Is not lack of integration. It's just a
No.
men's ministry.
Yes,
And
yes. And one of those things we learn in the band is how to take care of our wives. So that's a good thing. But so we're not opposed to women. But the band, through its travel over the years, Bishop, at the assemblies, the band can tell you, there are so many wonderful experiences in the band travel throughout the islands of the Caribbean that we've been able to engage in. These years, we've been traveling more than we ever did in our history. And so the band is really making some inroads around the world to, impact the people's lives with this unique gift that God has given to the church. And we love it. The men love it. We buy our own uniforms. We get them made. We pay to get them made. We purchase our own instruments.
wow.
And all of this is just so that this ministry can go on. We love it that much. And, when I see how the band has impacted so many lives, I'll tell you, when we went to Africa, our first voyage to Africa in 2012, and I'm so thankful that my assistant is with me. But we were told we traveled to New York. The airline told us that we were supposed to travel that Wednesday, and they told us that we could purchase our tickets to Johannesburg on that Wednesday. And so we got up there. We drove from Florida to New York that Sunday afternoon, got into New York that Monday, and Tuesday we went to purchase the tickets. Got to purchase the tickets at the airport, and there's no one at the ticket counter to receive our funds. And so as we inquired, the people surrounding said, "Oh, they left for the day."
Oh
I said,
wow.
but they told us that we can come, at any point during the day. And this is still early morning, This is around 11 o'clock, still morning. And they're gone for the day. So I called them at their office, to which they explained to me that our reservations have been canceled. Now, what I'm telling you, the men that went on that trip, who are watching tonight, this is gonna be the first time they heard this. we never shared it, but
That's
we
that's
got
what come out on this program, and things have never been said.
yeah.
said on this
So
program.
they canceled our reservations and then told me that it will take $15,000 to have the reservations reinstated.
Which
And
which, air-
so
which airport was that?
this is at we were that was JFK, was it not?
JFK, yeah,
Yeah,
JFK.
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 We
And you
went
wanted to
to
get into South Africa.
right, and
Oh, you want to go? You okay?
right.
Okay.
So we already had the reservations made. We already went ahead and did what we had to do in terms of making the arrangements. And so they told us that we could pay for the tickets that Wednesday on the day of our departure.
So they were saying they were too late now to do it.
Right. So for some, not much explanation went on.
Wow.
Besides the fact that it's canceled, we need to cough up 15 grand to get this thing back in operation. And at the same time, when this bad news was being delivered, the Lord had a cousin of mine who was living in a foreign country to call me, and he said to me, he says, Barry, how's the trip going? So I said, it ain't going. I said, it ain't going.
What?
And so we went. Uh, I just I just started praying. So we started saying what it is we're gonna do. And so he said, "Listen." When I explained to him what happened, he says, "I'm passing my travel agent right now." He says, "I'm gonna go in there and see what's gonna happen." And so we went. He went there, and this time, brothers are calling me, Pastor Barry. I'm here. I'm heading to the hotel, and all this kind of thing. And so we're going back to the hotel now because it's now whatever my cousin could do to make this work.
Mm.
And we're going back to the hotel. And so Brother Billy asked me, he said, "So what we can tell the brethren?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "If you talk it, I'm gonna stab you." I said, "We preach faith." I said, "We are going to have to experience faith today."
Are you kidding
Yep.
me?
I'm
Yes, sir.
telling you. And
Yes, sir.
so we went back and did not say a word. And that time, everything in me is falling to pieces.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
In
saying,
Jamaica,
I'm
we say
saying,
put the best outside, right?
yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so we went after all the guys got in. We went, guys were hungry, so we went to my favorite restaurant in the United States. I'll give them some free promo and charge them a little later, to Olive Garden. And
Yes,
so
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so we sit down to Olive Garden and we're
So-
we're eating, and my food is before me. Everyone's laughing and talking, that kind of thing, and I have no appetite, zero appetite. My food is in front of me, and my stomach is in knots,
oh my
and I'm praying and
God.
saying, "God, what is gonna happen here?" And so my cousin calls me and says, "Okay, Barry, I got some good news for you." He says, "I got 8 because there was 16 of us
Eight
traveling."
people. Yeah, he said he got
Yeah, he
eight.
says, "I got 8." He says, "I got 8 on." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, that's good." And so, but Billy said to me, he says, "But you're the director." He says, "So you go with the other 7."
Whew.
He
You
says, and
you
I'll
you
he
you're
says,
leaving me. You're leaving me breathless right now.
he says, "I'll stay back with the other guys." He says, "I'll
What?
stay back with the other guys." And the problem with that now is, when you put your names
Names
inside the
in yeah.
bank,
They
yeah,
went
it goes in
alphabetically.
alphabetical order.
Yes.
So really, he was the one going on the trip because he's a
Yeah.
Dickinson. I'm a Morris. I'm all the way down to the bottom.
Oh, so they're going alphabetical order?
Correct.
Oh, come on.
And so while everyone's going on, and I'm just tipping out every minute when my cousin calls me to get some information from him. And then he calls me back. He says, "We have a major problem." So I said, "What's the problem?" He says, you all can leave one way, but you can't come back the same way."
God.
So I said, "Listen," I said,
Ooh.
I said, "Don't worry about the coming back.
We
You just
must
got to
come back,
get
right?
there,
Yeah.
you got to get
Yeah.
there." And so we all and then he says, "And you will not be leaving out of JFK any longer. You're
What?
leaving, no, we're leaving out
Atlanta.
of,
Atlanta.
through, we had to
Laguardia?
go, from
Back to
New Jersey
Atlanta.
to Atlanta."
Oh,
Yep.
come on.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
I mean, we could have saved that drive and just driven to Atlanta, but we didn't know what was gonna happen.
So you had
And
to
so
drive back from New
no,
Jersey
no,
to Atlanta.
He
no,
flew.
we just had to drive to New Jersey, to the airport there, and
Mhm.
fly to Atlanta, and then fly to Johannesburg.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I met with the van after the news was a little better.
Oh, my
Uh,
God.
but now the problem was we could have gotten into Johannesburg, but we could not get on to Swaziland.
Yep.
And so they had something, with the king. He would organize the rates when he woke up in the morning. He's having a good day, you pay X amount. He's having a bad morning, you pay more. so,
Oh, my God.
so when we went, hello Dale, when we went to, I called the bishop and I said to him, I said, "We're having a massive problem." I said, "We can get there, but to Johannesburg. I said, but we can't get into Swaziland. He says, don't worry about it. He says, I'm going to send transportation for you. So he said, okay, great. And so we went ahead. I told the guys, I said, we won't be leaving from JFK anymore. We're going to be leaving from LaGuardia. And so uh, one of the brothers asked, well, how come there's a change? And I just looked at him. I was like, don't ask any questions. And he picked up rather quickly. And so I went to the front desk and I asked the lady, I said, listen, I said, we need some cabs to carry us to LaGuardia Airport. So I
Oh
asked her,
my
I said,
God.
what is the difference between a regular cab and a stretch limousine? She says $5. I said, okay, I need 3 stretch limousines. And the guys jumped into the limousines. We drove to the airport. We got there, uh, boarded the flight, getting ready to go through on the flight. This is when the young lady is going to tell me now we got to pay $1,700 for the overweight on our instruments. And so I told her, I said, why do we have to pay overweight for these instruments? So she said, that's the policy. So I told, after going back and forth with her, we went to meet with the manager. And so the manager says, I'm telling my story, we're going to relieve the oppressed. We going to help those who are embattled. I said, you seen the small children. We're going to Africa to help them. And so the manager said, these are musical instruments. So I said, yeah. She says, oh, we allow them to go for free.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Yeah. And so thank God for that. We loaded up,
Oh,
we walked through, we
listen.
flew.
Which year that was?
That was 2012.
2012.
Yes.
I am listening to you right now, and I'm losing my energy. I'm
Yeah,
losing my
so
energy.
April 2012.
I'm losing my energy just listening to the story. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine what that must have been like. And because you're holding that, your leaders are holding that, not trying to pass it on to get
Correct.
to get the group fragmented
Frazzled.
and
Yes.
frazzled. You just
Yes.
need to praying. I took a note down here. Like I remember somebody said once on my program, said it was in the program, said some things you need big faith for. In the program,
Yeah.
something little faith. This little faith, mustard seed faith or work. So some big things need big faith.
Big faith.
What
Yes.
kind of faith you guys had? Did you still have faith, or did you just like what carried you?
Yeah, I just firmly believe that God was going to work it out some way, somehow. And so I was willing to battle it out to the bitter end to see what was going to happen.
Oh my
And
God.
and of course, Brother Billy right there with me on my side. We just decided we're just going to go all the way. And so after the bishop said that he would have transportation there for us, we got to Johannesburg. And when I got to Johannesburg, we went through customs. We had an immigration had a little issue there, but that was worked out uh, quickly. And so I told Brother Billy, I said, keep the guys here. I'm going to take another brother with me, because this is when I realized after we got to Johannesburg, I did not ask the bishop who he was sending. And so I didn't know who to look for. And so we went, got some money, got a little phone card, and
Ay, ay,
called the
ay.
bishop. He's not answering the phone.
Oof.
And so I told Brother Bill, I said, you keep the guys in here. I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go out front, see if I can find someone, see if I can find out any information. He didn't understand. He didn't understand what I said, because while I was walking out of the airport, I could hear a lot of Bahamians talking behind me, and everyone was coming out at the same time. And when we got outside, I saw this young man running with a church flag, with the church's flag in his hand. And when I saw, I screamed and I said, "Hey!" I said, "You're coming for me!" And I had my church flag on my lapel. And
The Marker Association, man.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, it works. And we went.
Oh my goodness.
We went on the bus, and could you imagine now?
Oh.
We're up early morning, traveling from New Jersey to Atlanta.
So what was your schedule to get into Johannesburg? In terms of time.
Well, it was a 14-hour flight from Atlanta to Johannesburg.
I mean, I'm talking about like when you get there, how much time you had before you were involved in ministry.
The funny thing is, we got into Swaziland 3:30 in the morning, and our first thing was that afternoon at the church service. So really, we taught different time zone. We had no time to sleep. So we played that afternoon. We pulled up to the church for the evening session, and there was singing. Oh, such beautiful singing. The late Bishop Stephen Mesalela was the overseer for Swaziland and the presbyter at the time. And when that singing lifted, Bishop, there was such a sense of belonging. Yeah, as yes, this is homeland. This is mother.
Wow.
I began to weep when I heard the singing, and the bishop said to us not to come inside. He wants us to march on the inside. And when we marched on the inside, the whole room just was, deathly quiet. There was not a sound. The people did not move. There was nothing. They just sat there as we marched in, and we played a little while. And we took our seats. Then he called us on stage. We played again, and there was just stillness in the room that first night. Nobody budged. They just sat and they listened to the band play.
Well, they were just astounded, or what?
I don't know. But they did not.
Something new. They're in awe.
I don't know. They just,
like the songs I can only imagine. Would I be able to talk? Would I be able to sing?
And so when we played the next morning, there was a good level of interaction with the music, and they began. By that night, it was just on. Then they were on the floor dancing and shouting, and it was just such an amazing time. When we went on the parade, they had to close the parade down. There was so many. There was like 40. There was 40,000 people at this convention.
Wow!
And so the room was packed, wall to wall. The only thing that was left open was the dance floor for worship. So when worship started, because there was just a big gap between the people and the pulpit. And so I was asking one of the brothers, I said, man, people are all on the walls and hanging up on the rafters. They could have put some more chairs in there to allow for more seating. But when they began to worship, I understood why. Because everyone comes out of their seat.
Well, you're talking about Africa, right? The movement is what they do, right?
Exactly.
yes.
And so they came out of their seats to the front and filled the floor, and they just began to dance unto the Lord. It was
if they're able to dance, they're like hostages.
Yes.
Yes,
so they began to dance, and how? Go ahead, with the beat.
Yeah, like in our culture here, we'll do like a lot of clapping. Very, very little clapping. So they just basically they'll do the dancing, and any kind
Their
of
legs, man. Their legs.
dancing,
They let the
yeah.
legs talk, man.
And then once the songs are finished, seamlessly they just end up right back in their seats. Seamlessly.
Yes.
That's just how it happened. So they'll dance right back to their seats, and that was a really,
If you join the dance, you miss where you were sitting, but they don't dance back to the seat. You see, you maybe dance like a sheep, but they dance like a goat. They get back to the seat.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Now,
my goodness! Let me listen. I'm talking to Bishop Barry B. Morris, and is a minister Billy
Oh yes, yes,
Dickinson,
yes,
the
yes.
director and assistant director of the Bahama Brass Band. Listen, Bishop, hold your note because I am breathless for a while. I'm gonna have to play something. Gonna have to play something and come back and you catch a breath and then we're gonna hear a little bit more. This is incredible. This is incredible. I'm sitting here and I'm glad it is being recorded because there is no way anybody could have traced back on what we hear here. You gotta go back and listen. This is incredible. The Bahama Brass Band. We're talking about the history, the story, the ups and the downs, the stories, the journey, the myths, the history, etc. We'll come back. We're gonna continue the conversation, my friends. Oh, that is good. That is good. That is real. I get a feeler convention in my head a while
there
ago.
you go.
It's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a convention, like a general assembly feeling. That was really good music. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop and Minister Dickinson. These are the directors and assistant director of the Bahama Brass Band. That band is just incredible, phenomenal band that everybody get to know. And listen, I am in awe of that story. I don't know that a story could be as complicated. Listen, man, I have heard complicated things and I have experienced complicated things, but that one got me. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're traveling by yourself, it is not as difficult because you deal with it as you go along.
right.
With 16 men, with instrument and all of that stuff, just the movements, it's a package by itself. Even when you get the clearance, just to move is a package.
Yes, and the with that trip, there were just so many of the people there had never even heard of a place called the Bahamas,
Wow.
much less a band called the Bahama Brass Band. But when the news began to spread that the Bahama Brass Band was in Swaziland, some of the overseers who were having their conventions postponed their conventions and brought their people to Swaziland because they
Yes.
wanted their people to
Get a
experience.
taste of this.
Yeah, and
Once in
it
a
was
lifetime experience.
it's a once. Let me tell you, what an amazing time we had when we went out on the street and we paraded, we marched, and the band began to. The parade got so thick uh, that we were about 2 miles up the street, and
Mhm.
people were still coming out of the churchyard. And so they had to break the parade in half, send the people back to the churchyard, make us march back to the church because it was creating a traffic jam that was unmanageable. And so we had to bring the parade back to the church where we went into the church to the auditorium, and we played, and the people danced. I mean, they danced and danced and danced. We played for hours while they danced and danced and celebrated the goodness of the Lord. And of course, there were so many wonderful things that happened out of that trip. I was allowed to be the speaker for one of the services, and but the blessing of a young man who shared his testimony with me. He was looking for, he wanted to join the police force, and they had already turned him down several times. And he applied again, but somehow he believed that if he would be able to touch the citation cord of one of the band members, that somehow this job would be granted to him.
Really? That's like that one with the history of blood?
Oh yeah, if I could only touch. And
Are you kidding me?
Yes,
he
sir.
was able to get pressed through the crowd and touch the citation cord of one of the brethren.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
And the Lord granted him the job. Uh Now, like I said earlier, somehow through this music, it stimulates faith.
Wow.
And I mean, there's nothing in the citation cord, but his faith was lifted to the point that he believed if he could just get close and touch the citation cord, that his job would be granted, and he got the job. And I mean, that was just so moving to me that 16 of us, that the Lord could use us in such a wonderful way, uh, that someone's faith would be stirred, uh, and that God would answer their petition. That was so amazing, and you know,
Sometimes it's incredible. Sometimes what stimulates your faith,
yes,
and the average person singing maybe would not have stimulated this guy's faith, but somehow this was such a moment for him
yes,
that he just felt in his spirit. Just like the woman the woman with the issue of blood. She's exhausted everything.
hmm,
And say, if you
Hmm.
know there is one chance left, and that my faith tells me if I could pull this one off,
hmm,
despite the
something
odds,
is going to happen.
despite the
Yes,
odds of me
Yes,
being
right.
stoned to death, right?
yes, yeah,
Hmm.
If I could pull this off, there is the reward is more than the risk.
Yes.
yeah, yes, yes,
Incredible,
Amen.
incredible, incredible. We're gonna come back to you, Bishop. Oh my God, I am in awe of this. What I hear here already, and we're just getting started. So, what are you? Are you a deacon, minister, brother? What is Billy?
Well, actually, I'm working on those things right now, but I'm actually a brother in the church, and I've been serving the church for quite some time, and I'm looking forward to call to ministry and deeper heights, or
All right, well,
um, even next.
you're a young man, so
And
you get.
that should be forthcoming soon, I should say. So yes, yeah.
So you're a young man with future ahead of you, not like old man like me. You know, say okay, I'm and so start looking back. All right, so tell me about you and your connection to the band. How did you get connected to the band? Where did it start for you, and the progression as you move forward with it?
Well, back in the day, here in Grand Bahama, we'd have conventions between the Seagrape Church and the Pinedale Church, and both of these churches are in the Eight Mile Rock area. And I remember at the time we were living in Seagrape, and so we would walk to church. And I remember the band as I could hear the music from the band playing, as we approached the church, and it was a convention. It's convention time, and so as I get closer to church, the music became louder and sweeter. And when I got to the church door, I look inside, and I was just get stuck right there by the church door, and I couldn't go inside. And I saw the band playing, and I saw the trombones. Some young fellas dressed sharply, and they're playing the trombones. I saw some trumpets, and this fellow, you could hear his trumpet. And I later found out that he was Deacon Reuben Hall, right? And the song they were playing was "Hold the Fort." I did not know the song. Later on, I got to know the song that it was "Hold the Fort."
That's one of their favorite songs. I
Yeah.
can say that.
And so right there and then, just like Pastor Barry, I told my daddy, I said, listen, yeah, I gotta be a part of this band. So I think his words to me is like, either you're too young, you're too little, we'll talk about that a little later or something along. Because at this time I was about 8, 9 years old. So fast forward some years later, he bought me a trumpet. Actually, I was still interested in the trombone, but he bought me a trumpet. So when he bought me the trumpet, his brother in the church, Frank LaFleur, at the time he was the youth band director. And so I would go to him for lessons, and he actually taught me the trumpet. After he taught me the trumpet, um, later on I started to explore and experiment. I got my brothers involved, and I started to teach them the various different instruments. And through teaching them, I learned the various instruments. And
Hmm.
then some years later, I was appointed youth band director. And that same fellow there, that same bishop, Dr. Barry there, he's one of my members at the time in the youth
Yeah.
band. So I was youth band
Oh,
director.
hold a second. Hold a second. Hold a second. Say that again.
That same bishop, Dr. Barry there, he was a member of the youth band when I was the youth band director. So he
Yes,
was he was
he's my youth band director.
yeah. So yeah. So
Wow.
I was served in that capacity for some time, and then afterwards, um, of course, I was in the Bahama Brass Band then, which we refer to as the senior band, and I just moved through the ranks, moved as an officer, serving various posts until right now his assistant at this time. So it's been a very, very good experience for me, and learned a lot working along with him. I learned a lot from the past director, uh, Master Winston Capron. So he was very instrumental in my development. So I must give him that credit. So very good band director, musically
Yes.
talented. You know, nobody can direct a band like him. He
No.
just had it. He just had it. He
Yeah.
he just could direct a band. That's the kind of director he was, or I should say, is right. And so,
Yeah. He
um,
used everything
yeah.
to
So
direct.
he
Yeah.
poured- yeah he poured a lot into me. So Pastor Barry will refer to him as my father, and I'm his son. You know, but he did pour a lot into me. He did pour a lot into me, and so yeah. So I had wonderful experience, and the brethren itself, the brotherhood, is none like no other. So I really enjoy it, and it's a very, very, very good instrument. I would say, and a very, very good ministry for men and for young boys. Very, very good ministry.
Wow. How long since you both been together?
Um,
Us
20,
as directors,
Yeah, working together.
2010.
yeah, 2010, yes.
Okay, so let me get back to the bishop and I come back to you. So tell me, Bishop, how did this transition into you becoming the director, and who did you pick up from? How did that part of your story happen?
But in Grand Bahama, I would be the fourth band director for Grand Bahama. It started with a man by the name of Jenkins Williams, and after Jenkins Williams, it was the late. Well, now all of them are late, besides Brother Capron, but it was the late Jenkins Williams, then the late Bishop C.L. Capron, and then uh, Brother Winston Capron was in leadership for more than 40 years. He
Wow.
was the band director, and so
Wow.
he was, and just as Brother Billy said, he directed with everything. I mean, his toenails and all. Everything about him was consumed by the music, and he brought myself and Brother Billy on to work along with him, to being his assistants at first, and then of course I eventually became the director of the band, and Brother Billy my assistant. but the Cape Run really left an unmatchable legacy, because he too taught scores of men to play instruments. He's extremely gifted. He there's not a wind instrument you can put in his hand that he will not teach himself to play it. And so he really diversified uh, what we have. You know, the band is made up of treble and bass instruments. Of course, you're a musician, so you know this.
I'm not.
So
I'm
we
not a musician. You know, I play around with a couple of things. So
and so we have the treble instruments like the trumpet, the clarinet, the saxophones, mellophones, and then there is the bass instruments, the baritones, the trombones, the big sousaphones, uh, your instrument.
yeah, I
Uh,
love that guy.
yeah,
I love that
and
guy. Whenever the band is playing, I listen for that. My,
you
my
are
my my sense of hearing goes straight into that one. That's what I listen for.
boom, ba-dum, dum, dum.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's what get me.
Yes, and of course, our percussion section. The percussion section is a very, very vital part of the band. It gives us our rhythm, and the rhythm is what I think is extremely unique with the band. In particular, when we play our upbeat rhythms, the way the drummers connect and call and answer one another, and the patterns that they play helps us who are playing the wind instruments to sit on those patterns and play, because really that same song we talk about, Hold the Fort, that's da 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 dum dee da 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 da. But by the time we get together and it's being played, you got a different kind of synergy going on, different kind of connection going on with that music, and all of a sudden it just turns into something. And then you're gonna hear your horn. You do that, bum, ba-dum, dum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum,
That,
dum.
that's the
and
guy, man.
and
That's the
then you
guy,
got you
man.
got and so he sets a pattern to which all other of instruments rests on that. And so there's a rhythm going on. And so it's not da 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 any longer, but you hear things like dum, ba, da, ba, da, di, da, 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 bum, ba, da, bum, ba. So yeah. So you got something different going on with the song. But it happens organically uh, with us. And so each instrument plays their part. Each instrument plays their part to feed this band with what people hear. And the Lord just happens to take those feeble talents and brush some anointing on it. And
Listen, you talk about the synergy and the synergy and the synchronism, if you want to put that in there too. The melody and the combination of the things and the and how they blend in together. It drives one surround sound of energy. I think maybe
mm,
that's a good point to put like a
Yeah.
surround sound of energy. Everything is coming
yes,
at you. Everything is coming
yes.
at it with one sound, and the glory of the sound is just incredible. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Barry B. Morris and brother to be Minister Billy L. Dickinson. These are the director and assistant director of the Bahama Brass Band. I'm gonna have to play some. I'm tempted to play that one I played a while ago because it was so good. I felt convention in my head. But let me play something else and come back to you, my friend. I gotta play something else. We're gonna continue the conversation. Stay right there, my friends. the incredible Bahama Brass Band. No matter whether it's the full band or it's a half of the band or two-thirds, it's just like okay, they're just incredible, incredible, incredible,
Yes.
incredible.
And that's the
Um,
Grand Bahama segment.
that's 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 the Grand Bahama segment.
Yes, that's at our
Yes.
national. That's at our national convention. At our national convention on Sunday afternoons, there's a massive parade, and all of the bands split to accommodate the crowd. And
Okay,
so you would have Nassau, you would have all about because the band is boy. I'll explain it this way. But Billy talked about him being the youth band director in for the Vanderson Ferguson in Nassau, for the Winston Capron in Grand Bahama. Both of them, without conversation with each other, allowed the Lord to lead them in to creating a youth band to be a feeder system for the Bahama Brass Band.
yeah, because I was gonna kind of I was gonna come I would have to get to that point as well
Right.
because the longevity of the band, the sustainability of the band. I mean, how there's got to be a nursery.
Correct. Correct.
There's got to
And
be a
so,
nursery.
and so both of them were inspired by the Lord to do it. And Brother Capron, who was in Grand Bahama, he went ahead and he got his notepad and pen. And he just began to take names, go to parents and talk to them, or letting their children be a part of it. And he began to teach them how to play instruments. And out of that, there was a consistency of reproduction. Likewise, in New Providence, Brother Vanderson, there was consistency in reproduction, reproducing, and causing more and more, so that the band, when the Bahama Brass Band is short on trumpets, we go to the youth band and we say, listen, who do you have that's ready to be transferred over? And so the director, like myself now, I would go to the youth band director and say, listen, I need 4 trumpets. I need 3 saxophones. I need 8 trombones. I need 2 sousaphones. I need a drummer. I need a cymbal player. And they send them over. And then they begin the reproduction process again by teaching more and more so that it consistently goes. So at this point now, we have a youth band and now we have a junior band. So now the junior takes from like my son is in the junior band. All right. And he's his father's child. He's learning to play anything that he puts his hands on. And so he will be in that band when he gets a certain age, and he will go to the youth band. When he gets out of the youth band, he will join the Bahama Brass Band, and it just continues going on.
So
We have
you keep levels up,
correct.
levels
We
up.
have a saying: as long as the Bahama Brass Band man has a son, the Bahama Brass Band will never die.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yep.
wow, wow. Um, what's the question that I wanted to ask here? That kind of slip out of my mind, but let's continue. My friends, I'm talking to, and if you is anybody here ever listened to the Bahama Brass Band on a live performance? If you're watching and you've listened to the Bahama Brass Band anywhere live, then you can put a sticker into the chat here. Let's see how many people are here who are familiar with the Bahama Brass Band. Put an emoji somewhere. Let's see who are familiar with the Bahama Brass Band. I'm talking to Bishop Barry B. Morris, director of the band, and is assistant director of the Bahama Brass Band. And I am just so delighted. I am so delighted to have them talking with me tonight because I have gotten to know the Bahama Brass Band for so long. I remember when I was a young Christian, way back then in the 70s, on my return to the Lord in the 70s. We had a David's Hill brass band in Jamaica, and that was our brass band. But then when the Bahama Brass Band come on, then just kind of cover our little David Zill brass band, but our guys get a chance to fit in with them and march with them, at some point. So yeah, so they yeah, but they've been big, and as I said, I had my knockdown moment in the 70s. I think 1973 they came to Jamaica for convention, and we were at Maxwell Avenue that time. I think it was the last time we were at Maxwell Avenue. And when they landed in that convention that night, boy, they took me down. They took me down. The music was so good in the cluster of that place, and the glory. Yeah, I mean, it's like Shekinah glory was filling the house. There was no spot in the house where there was not the Bahama Brass Band tearing it down. And boy, that circle bass, I tell you, what you call it, circle bass? Like that's what we called it.
Okay.
You call it
Yes.
circle bass?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we have we call it the bass horn.
The bass horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the bass horn, and so that's how that keeps the rhythm going.
Yeah,
That keeps
that
rhythm.
that's what, because it doesn't speak every time like the trumpet and the saxa, but boy, when
Uh,
it hit like that,
oh, that give you a good bump.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
I mean that thing that got me off my legs, and I hit the floor that night. Like boy, I cannot forget that. That was a long, long time ago, 1973. The story, my friends, if you're just joining, you gotta go back and listen to this, because it's just impossible or incredible to have stories like what I heard here, of the Bahama Brass Band and their trip to Africa. Oh my God! Let me see if this is the African trip here. Let me see if this is one. 1 second there.
Taking a look at some memories.
Well, I'm not gonna get.
That's how.
Well, I can tell you that first picture was with us. That was us on parade in Africa.
There we go.
All right. And the that one there, that we were in New York with Gun Turkey, and that's us doing the recording. That's the
That's
Turks and
it.
Caicos, and that's for the Winston Capron directing the band there. This is us in the British Virgin Islands. That's the band's first trip to. You saw them in the aqua like uniform. That was the band's first trip to the National Convention in Nassau. This is the band in Turks and Caicos, and guess what? You see that horn? You see the big horn there?
Yeah.
That was me at
Oh really?
15 years old playing.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was playing it at 15. That's us in Africa. That's us getting ready to go on the parade in Africa.
Swaziland, Africa.
Yes. That's us in our band concert in Grand Bahama. That's us in Atlanta.
Mm.
That's us in New
I said
Jersey.
I'm by
Memories.
Oh my friend, I tell you, this band has been around. This band has been around and has touched so many lives, so many lives. And I got one or two more clip. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get up the one that I really want, Bishop. I don't not sure if I have. I have the Montserrat one. I wanted to get the interview one, but somehow it's not. It didn't come up. But if I get a chance, I'll try to bring it up. But
Okay.
what else can you tell us about? Tell us about some of the impact of the ministry, the effect of it in different places, some of the experiences of how it impact lives. We heard about this guy in Africa that just touched the instrument and got a job that he was hoping that he had lost, thought he had lost, and somehow God brought it back. What are some of the miracles or the testimonies of the impact of the band?
I want to say, Bishop, that the band during Hurricane Dorian, when that massive hurricane came to us, we were in the middle of planning a trip to go to Houston for Thanksgiving to participate in their Thanksgiving parade. And I want to talk, we go back to this thing that we've been taught about sacrifice.
Hmm.
The band Some of our bondmen lost their homes,
Hmm.
flooded right out with water, roofs blown off. And I said, Lord, if it's your will for us to go, I'm not going to say anything, but allow the men to speak and say what their desires are. And men started coming to me and says, listen, okay, the hurricane hit us, but we have an obligation, you know. And when one of the brothers who came to me, who had lost his house, came to me and said, you know, we have to go, you know, let's go. I said, brethren, I said, let's pack our bags, let's get ready. We had our airport was obliterated during the storm on
Wow.
our island. And so we had no more international flights like that going in and out of Grand Bahama. And so we had to fly into Nassau and then from Nassau go on to Florida and then on to Houston. We got to Houston. It was cold. It was really cold. But we went there and the band began to play. And we went into the prison, a maximum security prison they had there in Houston. The band played, and 77 men gave their hearts to the Lord that night.
Wow.
It was so I mean, it was just so powerful.
77 men.
77 men. And you know, it could be intimidating, you know, when you walk into a prison and a guy that's about 6'9" with tattoos all over his head and neck and arms and all that kind of thing is coming to you, sir, would you like some water? You know, that could be intimidating. But I watched as those men buckled under that music. And I remember at one point, you know, we played songs like The Old Rugged Cross, uh, Hallelujah, what a Savior, Man of Sorrows, what a name. Hallelujah, He's mine. I know it was the blood at the cross, power in
Mm,
the
mm,
blood.
mm,
We
mm.
played these songs and you watched as these men just begin to weep. And the lady who was responsible, who I worked with to get the band there, she had them in her counseling sessions with them. She had a few of them to write letters concerning what they experienced. And a Muslim gentleman, this is the one that got me. He said, he said first, he says, I noticed y'all didn't use any music sheets. There was no music stands. He says, so I wonder how you could memorize all of that music while you're playing. And then he said he's a lover of music. He says, but he has never heard music like that.
Mm.
And he said, for some reason, said while the music was playing, he just felt, you know, overwhelmed and began to cry and gave his heart to the Lord, you know, from the music. And then we went after we was finished with there. I mean, it was an amazing experience, celebration. The band played. We even had a preacher come and preach for a couple of minutes to the guys, and we prayed for them. And I mean, there was such a warm spirit among them. You know, I mean, hardened criminals, but there was such an amazing spirit, and that tells me what Jesus could do with a soul. You know, somebody who was a hardened criminal, you know, a murderer, a thief, you know, whatever but yet in the presence of the Lord during the ministry of the band, they became clay in the partisan,
Wow.
you know. And then we went to a college who was breaking for Thanksgiving, and we played, and 33 young people gave their hearts to the Lord. This is the very next day. Gave their hearts to the Lord, and it was just an amazing experience to watch them cry out unto the Lord while the band was just there playing music. And our music is simple. We play 4-part harmony. Our music is simple. There's nothing difficult about what we play. But because what we play comes from somewhere, it comes from, the seat of where God lives. We
Mm.
want God to be pleased in what is we're doing. The Lord, like I said, He just manages to touch people and bless them as He blesses us through the music. And we were able to that entire week. We go band on the road. We were the smallest band on that street, the only all male band on that street, the only all black band on that street, and that band was the most powerful band on that street. The Lord just blessed that music so much. So many people asking us questions. We were interviewed. I was interviewed by Fox News. I was interviewed by CNN. And it was just so amazing. Everyone wanted to know, who is this band? Who is this little group? Again, there were 36 of us on the street.
Wow.
Those bands had 150 and big numbers like that, but little is much, and if God is
This is
in
much.
it.
I'm curious about the balance, because that could be a contributing factor in just my thinking about
Mm,
the balance of the instrument that you
mhm.
use, that you utilize at a given time. Do you find it that if I use X amount of saxophone, trumpet, etc., whatever the different pieces are, do you find that you don't want to use too many of one and too little of the other, because that might change the energy of the sound?
But it's important to have a balance. So we always try to strike a balance. Um, Whether Billy and I would get together when we're planning anything, and we talk about the parts that we need. And of course, there's some who are stronger than others, some who have
Hmm.
more volume than others, and so we try to strike that balance as best as we can, because it's voluntary. uh,
Hmm.
you know, you don't say to a brother, no, we have enough saxophones, you can't come. So these brethren are volunteering their time, and sometimes um, you may not have enough trumpets,
Hmm.
but the trumpets that you have there, they understand their role. They have to provide the soprano part for the rest of the band. So it's no use complaining. We have 30-piece band and we only got three trumpets. The three trumpets are going to have to carry that band. And so
Carry that
you
band.
got to
Yes.
step up. Yeah, you got to step up what you have to do. And you're going to have to carry that. You're going to have to make your section count, and so I've known there were times when we were on a parade. I was the only trumpeter.
Really?
Hell yeah. And, the band got to play.
Yeah, and one of the things we do too also with that Bishop and Beckford is with not just the balancing with the piece. What we do also, if we do have a lot of saxophones or a lot of trombones, etc., or even the bass horn, then we'll play pieces that those will actually feature in the chorus, whether it be the bass horn or whether it be the saxophones or whether it be the trombones. So we'll play quite a few songs where they actually feature, and so now the trumpets can just sit back and answer and let the saxophones or the trombones carry the melody during the chorus part. And so that's how we. So based on what we have, then that also determines the type of songs that we play as well.
So everything got to be strategic, for based on what we have.
Yes.
Yes, strategically, yes.
So what we have, lighten the burden on some, or what we don't have, intensify the burden on the others.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
But we
Well,
need to get we need at the end of the end result. This is what we want.
yes,
Correct.
yes,
That's
yes.
incredible. That's
And
incredible.
just as Bishop Barry said, at the end of the day, we still will play some of those numbers where, even though we may not have much trumpets or much saxophones, but you got to carry your weight for a few songs. So, and that's just the way we do it.
Incredible, incredible. My friends, I'm talking to the director and the assistant director of the Bahama Brass Band. I never dreamed in my life, and I would have had this opportunity to talk to the director of the Bahama Brass Band. Never thought, well, it wasn't something that come into my mind, but and even when I spoke to you, Bishop, at the assembly, I didn't even
Yeah.
know you were the band director.
Yeah.
I didn't even know then. I didn't know that until after we, started make our plans when the time was coming up to be on the program. That's when I realized, oh, whoa, I
Yeah.
had no
And
clue.
I didn't volunteer that information either. So
No, we
uh
talked on something different that had nothing to do with the Bahama Brass Band. It never came up in the conversation, so I was kind of surprised. What?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been a delight to serve, just to watch people be blessed by the music. We've been to so many places. We went to South America. Well, if I could list some of the places we've been in these recent years, we did my first obligation, or what first vision I had to spread it. We did a tri-state tour, and we went from Miami. We had the first concert in Miami, and then we went to New Jersey
I see.
with
Atlanta.
Bishop Winston, and then we came down to Atlanta. Some of those pictures were caught in there. That was the beginning, and then we we went to Turks and Caicos a few times. We went to after that we ended up in Africa. And the thing about that Africa trip too, Bishop, was that trip was made on when MSN just had the little thing popping up on the side of the screen. No pictures. I did not know Bishop Stephen Mesalela. Had never heard of him, uh, but talking to Bishop Leroy Greenaway, he said to me, "Boy, it'll be something good at the bond to get to Africa." And so he says, the bishop's name is Bishop Mesalela. So I just went on MSN and typed in his name, and the little box came up with his name, no picture. And we started a conversation. And once we agreed to terms and conditions, he said, let's go for it. He was a
Wow.
man of great passion, great visionary, and it happened. And then we went to South America, which was another. And when you're going into territories that you don't know, you're just going by faith, and that's hard for some people to embrace, because some people, they need each step carved out, and sometimes you don't have that. When you're making a journey by faith, you just don't have that. You just trust in God to put the pieces together. And we went into South America, and one of the brothers, he made me laugh. The presbyter came and apologized because they had to move the convention to a smaller venue, and he said he apologized that only 20,000 people could attend. So he says he's so sorry. I mean, he was to tears, apologizing. So the young man who was sitting next to me, he says he's apologizing because only 20,000 people could come. You know? And we went there, and once again we had that same sort of experience that we had in Africa.
In Africa, yes.
When the band came on stage and we played, the place was silent.
Hmm.
And by the second night, well, I remember we played the last night, because the place, we were like, it was an arena, so the people encompassed the
Yeah,
stage.
all around. Yes.
uh, and so we were playing on stage, just facing where the bishops and all those were sitting. The band faced them every night, and so while we were playing one night, everyone's on their feet and everyone's rejoicing and dancing. I told the band, I said, turn around, turn around. I said, turn around, play that way. And the band just spun on the dime, and turned their instruments the next way and started. Well, the place just erupted,
A
you know.
complete different energy turn around that
I'm
side,
telling
right?
you, I mean, the place just erupted.
Woo.
And I mean, caught on fire. It was amazing. You know, we did a parade there. Likewise, it was a nice experience because this couple just got married,
Mm-hmm.
and we were on the parade, and the bride and the groom, they jumped out of their car, and they came and they got me in the drum major, and they hugged onto us, and they were marching in front of the band with us while we were on the parade, just enjoying a good time together. But it was amazing. And then of course, after that we went back to Africa a second time, uh, and man, from Florida to the Carolinas to New York, to
Okay.
Canada,
Yeah.
uh, Houston. Am I getting them all, Brother Billy?
Oh
Uh,
yes, yeah.
Turks and Caicos, the Virgin Islands, Antigua and Barbuda,
Mm-hmm.
Montserrat.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been covering a whole lot of territory, and by God's grace, my heart in it is for the band to hit the world stage and play the music that God has given to us. As a matter of fact, we even appeared on TBN
Oh
uh,
yeah.
while we were able, and it was so amazing that we were able, to they came to our island, and we were asked to open the service. So we
Mm.
did the parade in, and we played on stage, and of course, you had the Crouches, you had Donnie McClurkin,
Listen,
Smokey
yes.
Norfolk. I mean, it was a whole lineup of people that we played for. As a matter of fact, when we were in Houston, we had the opportunity to play for to have a concert for Sheila Jackson Lee. She came to hear us, and sat. We had There was a whole gathering of Bahamians, the diaspora there in Houston, and she was invited. And of course, she took pictures with us. We were able to engage in conversation on some real, meaningful matters. Of course, she died just a
Yes.
little while back,
Right.
but we took pictures together, and but it was a real meaningful moment for us to share our story with her. And like you, she was because Brother Vanderson, who experienced it, was able to share his story with her. And so she was quite impressed about the sacrifices that we've made to carry the gospel where we have carried it. And so it's an amazing thing when you look into our history and see our experiences, and to see how God has really blessed us with this institution.
I am astounded at the and I think what is so impressive, what is so impressive about the band is that I don't know if anyone has ever seen the Bahama Brass Band, and it looks lean, lean in like, okay, they're not as big, not as good, not as, like, okay, we see the decline. I mean, I've never seen the band and seen anything look like a decline on the band. What's the number? What's the biggest number ever members you ever had?
You want to go there, Billy?
Yeah. And Grand Bahama, you were well over close to 50 at one point in time. And then the Nassau segment, I believe there were close to 100 members at one point in
Wow.
time. So, um, from my recollection, so that's the biggest number we had.
Yeah, I do believe if we have an accurate account of who was active, we are probably between both segments. We are somewhere around 80, 85.
Hmm.
But of course, some of our men, have relocated. Some men become ill, and can't perform. But I mean, some guys, they have medical conditions, but they still want to play, and they still play. You
Yes,
know,
we do.
some of our senior men, um, they still want to be a part. They still want to play. And, we have a saying, there's no discharge out of this. You leave this by death. And so,
Till death you part, and
till death do you part.
until your lips cleave, to your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And so,
Oh my goodness!
yeah, we're determined to make this work.
Wow. Question. Do all of you guys play by notes or just ear? Do everybody can play from the books or what?
Most of us are actually trained musicians, so um, we train, so we play the music.
Is
Very
it
very
is it
yeah,
something?
very,
Is it
yeah,
something?
very very yeah. So it's we are actually trained musicians.
Is it something easy for the Bahamians to play music? Do they all learn easy, or it's in their genetic makeup? What is it?
I would just say we all learn easy. From my experience,
Is there
we all
something
learn
in
easy.
the air is there something in the air in the Bahama that there's just music sense of music awareness in the air?
Yes, all around. So it's just yeah, yeah, yeah. So we
Go
play
ahead.
by
Go ahead.
music, and then of course we still develop our ear. So lots of times throughout traveling, or even being asked to play the various engagements, and right on the spot they will say, "Hey, I need you guys to play the song." And so if just one person know the song, or even none of us know the song, somebody just hum it, or the person who desired to play or requested the song, they'll hum it to us. We hear it once or twice, and then we go ahead and we just play the song. And you'll think we actually look at the music, but that's just the way we have been trained.
Yes,
So, so that means in the Bahama, especially among the Bahama Brass Band segments by location, and I know this doesn't make any sense, but I'm just gonna throw it in there. It's like, is there a music air that you breathe and then it formulate when you swallow it? Like it's
I would like
Maybe
to
so.
believe that.
you like.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yes. I remember of two experiences we had when we went to Africa the first time.
Mhm.
They sang the song called "We Win in Jesus' Name,"
Even in Jesus' name, yes.
and so I memorized the soprano part, and I carried the trumpets out first. I said, "Okay, guys, we gotta learn this song. We're gonna play it on the closing session of this convention." And I hummed it, and then I brought everybody else out. I said, "Okay, let's put the parts to it." The trumpets played. I told the altos, "Get your alto together, saxophones, the trombones," and we put the parts to it, and we convert it to our style of playing, because I believe that is necessary. That's the gift that God has given to us, and so we managed to. I insist that we play it, and we play it how we play. And so and that was another amazing moment, because they didn't expect that. And so when we, at the closing session, when the overseer brought us on to play, we played all of our numbers, and then we closed out with that song, "We Win in Jesus' Name. Through Christ, we're more than
God
conquerors.
bless you. Even in
We win in
Jesus' name.
Jesus' name." And when we went to Antigua last year, I don't even know the name of the song, but the Spanish saints sung it, and so I just recorded on my phone. I found a key that was comfortable. I said, "Okay, guys, we gotta learn this song." Once again, I taught it to the trumpets, and then I said, "Let's go, guys. Let's make it 4-part harmony." And we turned into 4 parts. And that night at the closing session of the convention, we played the song. And of course, Spanish people, they're a little lively.
I know,
I
right?
mean, they kick out into dancing and all that kind of thing. And so we do read, we play arrangements. As a matter of fact, sometimes I write arrangements for, well, basically in our concert, when we do our concerts, you could always expect one or two songs that, I would arrange for the band to play. And the guys, they got to come to band practice every Saturday night, and nights onward to learn, read, and get a hold of the songs. And I don't like to arrest anyone, because our music is our devotion, is our expression of worship to God. And
Hmm.
so I want the men to be free to do that. And so they're not held in, chains, and, it has to be played this way and all. We ensure that the men are allowed to express with freedom, their love for God through the music.
Wow. I am impressed. I am impressed. I'm gonna play this Montserrat one. I'm gonna play this Montserrat one, and then I'm gonna see if because I didn't get I didn't get the other one, the interview one up at all. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but if I don't, then we're gonna play the Montserrat one now. And my friends, this is just one incredible conversation. And if you're just joining, you have no clue about the band trip to Africa. That makes the whole night for me. That makes the whole night for me. You got to go back and listen to that. You got to listen to that, because that's the whole story. When we come back, we continue the conversation, and we have more run out of time. But boy, this is good. We gotta come back. Boy, that guy in the green shirt had no sense of awareness of his environment. He had no sense of awareness of his environment. He just stood right there before the camera and would not move. Oh my God. And nobody touched him in his back and said, "Hey man, we're recording this thing."
Yeah,
Right. He
yeah,
was just having his time, you know. He was just having his time. Oh my goodness. This is just incredible. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe you guys gonna have to come back another time and let's talk about what time is your anniversary, 100th anniversary next year? What time of the year?
In Grand Bahama, we begin to celebrate our first concert is going to be in the month of March. It's going to be the first
Oh, that's
weekend.
early.
Yeah, it's going to be the first weekend. We're gonna have three major concerts during the year. We have some trips on the drawing board. One trip into Georgia, another to in the will of the Lord in Brazil, and
Brazil, going far south.
yeah, we got another engagement in Miami that we're looking to, and within the next 17 months, it's going to be necessary for us to prepare to go to the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So we're going to take 2 years to celebrate 100 years, 170 years. And so we're going to be making a few necessary engagements around the world. As I said, it is my intention as the director for Grand Bahama and working along with the Nassau side of it to get this band's feet in the air and get us on some streets somewhere around the world
Wow.
proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, when we were in Africa, when we were in Cuba in May, I thought it was such a profound blessing to be able to be in a communist country and playing the gospel. You know, playing the gospel. We were on the streets in Cuba playing the gospel.
Wow.
And, that was such an amazing thing. You know, we have preachers who can't get into Cuba to preach the gospel, but this band was there and we were allowed to play our music. We did a concert there, and we did several concerts. As a matter of fact, we did after we played in a school of performing arts. They have the excellent young musicians, very, very skillful, uh, playing various instruments, guitars and violins. And the violin presentation, I think, took all of us by storm. And, you know, these are 16-year-olds who were just playing and so articulately expressing themselves on the instruments. And when we played, every time that band played, there was a demonstration from the people uh, that this music is affecting me uh, in that school during the concert. I mean, the people, I mean, they jumped, they were holding each other on the shoulders and marching the floors. When we played other numbers, you know, there were people weeping, uh, you know, and then, of course, that Sunday morning service was a complete delight, you know, to see people hanging around the church windows, the church packed to capacity with people, and people just all outside around the doors, around the windows, you know, just wanting to hear this band. A lady traveled 11 hours just to hear the band, just to get in front.
Wow. Wow.
And I thought that was so special. 11, that's long. 11 hours to just to hear the band play. And those things I can never take for granted.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's why playing for me, or being a part of this ministry for me, is more than just a habit or something that, you know, that's hereditary, that came down as a tradition. This means something to God. It means something to people. and so it must mean something to me. There is value in it, and that's outside of the mentoring process, the development process that we all go through in this band, learning from one another, being pruned and given directions, and having fellowship, which is the biggest part of the band, the fellowship that we enjoy with one another, uh, is amazing, and I think that adds to the playing, and so we enjoy playing our instruments, we enjoy being with each other, but for me, it is more of the impact that God is being pleased and that He's touching lives through what we do.
Bless the
You
Lord.
know,
Bless
Bishop,
the
I'm back.
Lord. Man,
Bishop, back with that Cuba trip, as Bishop Barry said, was quite profound in the sense that it is a communist country, and majority of those folks may never have the opportunity to say travel to the Bahamas or someplace else to hear the band. Now, of course, we've been other places around the world where a lot of folks may not have the opportunity to hear us either, but they do have the freedom to travel. They may not be able to afford it, but
hmm
because of their system and the system that they live in, their country system, they just don't have that freedom to say, hey, I want to go travel to the Bahamas next week, or I want to go travel to the next United States next week, or even Jamaica next week, and I want to listen to Bishop Beckford or whomever. They just don't have that. And so, um, as we all of us sit and think about that and reminisce on that, that was really, really big, really, really big. So,
to God be the glory.
yeah, really, really big.
To God be the glory. You just never know where, again, you have great testimonies of people's experiences, but they are
Hmm.
untold testimonies that you will never hear,
Correct.
untold lives impacted that you'll never know, untold bodies have been healed, lives been transitioned and been transformed, that you will never know about until maybe you make it to heaven. And when your imperfect mind become perfect and the things you don't understand now, that they begin to unveil, you said, oh my God.
Hmm.
It's like the Bible said, eye hath not seen, ear haven't
You have not
heard.
heard. Yeah.
you know and the song you were playing is the windows of heaven are open, right?
Yes, sir.
I heard that. And I'm just praying. I'm just praying that the windows of heaven. I mean, it's almost 100 years in the life or so of the band, but I'm just praying in this season that God opened doors. That, I mean, He's opened doors for you, especially with that trip to Africa. He opened doors that
Plenty doors. Plenty
so
doors.
many doors that nobody could imagine, that doors were going to be there closed that need to be open. But I just pray that God open more doors of blessing to make it easier for the band, to make it easier for everybody to travel, and that your ministry go and impact lives even more than you have. I'm just thinking that maybe the next time we could have, some of the younger ones, like three groups of the like the little one, the younger, and the little and the junior, and say, and just say, here is what feeds
Mm.
the
Hmm.
Bahama Brass Band. This is the nursery of the band, and this is a generation that will be representing the band 20, 30, 40 years from now, if the Lord tarries. I mean, it just incredible. I wondered, Bishop, does anybody in the Bahama anywhere sponsor your group, and like businesses that say, we want to sow seed and invest in this great organization.
Well, from time to time, when we have fundraisers, some corporate citizen will say, we'll sponsor, put an ad in the booklet, or we'll buy X amount of tickets for the concert. Uh, Sometimes there are grants that are given if we ask, but really, a lot of it, the what it takes to move this band, uh, it's rather expensive, and ministry costs when it's one person, And so our brethren have to really, we hit our pockets deep and hard for this. And so I pray that someone listening tonight,
Or
would,
tomorrow, or the next
or
day, or the
tomorrow,
next
yeah,
night, you know?
wherever you pick up on this program, that you would, your heart would be open. And, if you want to, invest and sow into this particular ministry, we'll be glad, whatever it is. It may be $20,000, it may be 15,000, it may be 10, 5, 1,500, whatever it is, we need it. That's not a want, because anytime we mount our instruments, that's a direct representation of Jesus Christ. It is an expansion of his kingdom and his church. And we want to represent us well. And so we do need your assistance. And so we're asking you, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. You can reach out to me. My phone number is an international number. I'm everyone's pastor. So 242-727-9400. That's my number. And I
Oh,
answer.
that's my
Uh,
number. What's your
so
number, man? What's your number? Say, okay,
yeah, yeah.
242 727
9400.
9400. There you have it.
Uh, you,
Let me say contact Bishop Barry here.
you can contact me, and I will
But
be
yeah.
delighted uh, to receive. Uh, Tell you how to send the funds to us. That we, and I assure you, whatever you send, you could you could bank on it. It's going to be used for the glory of God. It's going to be used for the glory of God. And so, um, help us do what we do to build God's kingdom, to build His church. And we're taking this message of the kingdom to the regions beyond. And so we need your help. So the Lord touches your heart, which I do believe He is touching your heart already. Please,
Somebody,
send.
somebody, somebody asked, what part of Africa did you go to? I think we said that earlier, but
Yes, we
Jamaican
went
Republic.
to Swaziland,
Swaziland,
now
Swaziland.
called now called Eswatini.
Eswatini.
Yes.
All right, my friend, this has been an interesting and fascinating conversation. And if you, everybody need to share this, right? Everybody need to hit your share button. Everybody who watch the program need to hit your share button and include your friends into it. Sometimes we don't share. We are frugal in sharing, and sharing is free. So just share, hit your share button, send it out to 10, 15, 20 friends, and spread it around. That's how we spread things around. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I'm not sure if I can find it, Bishop, but let me see if I can add that source. I'm gonna have a bad looking screen for a moment, but I'm gonna see if I can find it. If not, I'm gonna replay the one that I played before because I love that. Hang in there, my friend. Let me see if I can find that when my screen changes. Let me see. Oh, did I? Okay, so I got this one here. Oh, here we go.
We are from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, where the sun is shining. It's probably about 80 degrees right about now, and everyone's on. It's a beach day in the Bahamas. It's a bit chilly here in Houston, but it's a beautiful day. And so, how has Houston been treating you? Houston is simply the best. The treatment here has been wonderful. The people have been so kind and hospitable to us. We almost feel a sense of home here, just experiencing the hospitality and the love. It's so good to hear that because you were telling me that you actually experienced quite a bit of difficulty making your way out here because you've had a couple of hardships that you've come across. Tell me a little bit about that. Well, in the month of September, we had a massive hurricane that ravaged our shores, Hurricane Dorian. And there was significant in our history. We have never had a storm so devastating where we lost so much property, where we lost lives. So many lives were lost, and we've been trying since that time to rebuild and try to get some degree of normality to come back to our shores. There are two islands that were hit massively, and that would have been Grand Bahama, which most people know as Freeport, and Abaco. And so the death toll was beyond our imagination, and so was the destruction. And so, as I said, we're focusing on rebuilding, and so that was sort of our reason for being here.
And you're telling me that even some of your bandmates here lost their homes as well, and they still decided to come out here. Tell us how people can help and what it means really to have people come together.
Well, yes, some of our barmen who were here today, they lost homes, they lost valuables. Some people lost their loved ones, and that makes it a little more tough when you've lost a loved one. And so we're here trying to raise funds to help with the hurricane relief. And if you wish to help, we are trying to have 500,000 people give 99 cents toward the relief effort to help us to rebuild, to reestablish, bring families back together, put children back in school, try to rebuild homes. And if you want to give, you can find us at the Ebenezer Foundation on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can ask how we can give, and we will give you the information that's necessary.
Well, thank you so much, Barry, for being here. Let's hear a little bit of what you guys have to offer.
Okay, so that was that. Audio was a little bit low, but I maxed it out and I still couldn't get it. It was a little bit low, but I'm sure we could hear it. Oh, that was interesting.
Yes, that was an interview with Fox News after we were in Houston during Dorian, what I spoke about earlier. And so she was asking some questions about the condition of the Bahamas.
Right, I heard that. Yeah, I heard you have 500 told me to give 99 cents back for the relief there.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, and so it was an amazing time while we were there. And as I said, so many every trip that we go on has its unique experience, and so each one of them are special in their own way. And the Lord does different things in different places for reasons that He sees fit, and we accept that, and it is just joyful just to be a part of it.
All right, so my thing worked a while ago, so I'm gonna give it another shot. My thing worked, so let me see if I can pick up this last one. Let me see if I can pick this last one up and play this for you. This is the one that I.
Well, the Bahama Brass Band has laid yet another historic feat under its belt.
That is director of the Bahama Brass Band, Grand Bahama segment, Pastor Barry Morris, beaming with Bahamian pride as he recounted the moment the electrifying sounds of the band traveled overseas. Morris says it's a joy to introduce the world to an infusion of culture meshed with authentic Bahamian gospel music.
We were able to go into these are snapshots to celebrate. We're in Antigua. We're in the prison in Antigua. 5 souls were saved that day. In Antigua, we were playing in Antigua. The shots I'm being interviewed. I think me and Brother Billy are being interviewed by our local station in Freeport.
The enthusiasm of the people, waving their Bahamian, at least waving our Bahamian flags and celebrating with us. But I think the highlight of the entire week
and where you saw us assembled in our blue uniforms, we were in Times Square.
I mean, the people they interacted
So it had been the
with us.
first time.
We want to hear about
First
the
time the
Bahamas,
band
and it
was
was an
appeared
opportunity for us once
in
again
Times Square.
to
We
sell
also
the
went to
Bahamas,
Boston
to let people know that
that
this is the
weekend. It
place.
had been the first time the band was in
This
Boston.
is the premier tourist
We
destination.
appeared
Says the band has been an
at
institution
Pastor
in
Dave
country since
Wright,
1925,
the son of
operating in New Providence
the
first
late
before
Timothy Wright. We appeared at their church for a concert, and we went with Pastor, your namesake, Frank Beckford.
Oh,
We were at the Bronx, and we had a concert there, likewise.
right.
And so that whole thing, what you see going on here, is talking about all of that.
Right, right.
We feel a sense of obligation to demonstrate our Bahamian pride and to let it leak out, pour out wherever we go.
And as for what's next, the band is already preparing to celebrate yet another milestone, turning 100 in 2 years.
That's the people of
And
Times
so
Square.
this is also a part of our
While we were
celebrations
playing,
to
who gathered
offset
there.
that.
I mean, it must have been, I don't know how many thousands of people out there. As the band started to play, they just came and they just flocked us. You know,
Music is attractive, man.
yeah.
Music gets attention.
Yes, a lady at some building, she was on the 46th floor. And she came down, her and her friends, they came running down and just to hear the band, just to be with us.
Continuing its mission
And,
of letting people know about the beauty of the
that's us in
Bahamas.
Boston.
In essence, he's appealing to the wider community for
And to
financial
give an
assistance.
offering toward
For the
what it is
Bahamas
we're
tonight,
doing,
the Northern Edition. I'm Rita
as a
Davis.
demonstration of their support. That's the people out there.
Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Woo! Wow. All right. I'm gonna play one little. I'm gonna take 1 minute break here, and then we're gonna get the bishop. Then give a wrap up for tonight. We gotta come back. We just open a can of worm here. We're gonna keep on talking about this Bahama Brass Band and get more familiar with the. What a great insight into the ministry. And I'm sure we cannot jump so fast. But the biggest story tonight, the biggest story that I will never forget, Bishop, is that trip to Africa. I am not gonna get that out of my head anytime soon. And if you join us late, my friend, you have to go back and listen to that story. That's the highlight of the night. I'm gonna come right back and get the bishop and the assistant director give you the wrap up for tonight. But there is still more things that we can do. Stay right there, my friends.
Wednesday, 8 p.m. Join ORB Ministries on Let's Talk with the Doc. Live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. There is a story, something to encourage and inspire you. You may even have a life-changing experience. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. Stay connected. Subscribe to ORB Ministries YouTube channel. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Presents Truth Matters. Join the Truth Matters panel for discussion on issues of the times with host Dr. Orville Beckford Sr. and his panel consisting of Bishop Ishmael Charles,
Minister Ashana Knight, Bishop Woodrow Thompson,
Dr. Danette Ming, Bishop Anthony Campbell, and Pastor Shelley Antoni. Nothing is off limits for discussion. Follow ORB Ministries on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And be ready for the next hot topic on Truth Matters.
Oh well, when you're having good time, time runs off fast. When you're having good time, I can't believe the time that we have covered. But it's my delight to have you, Bishop and Minister Dickinson. What's your wrap up thought tonight before we say goodbye? We're not gonna do the benediction. We're gonna give a break. Because we're gonna come back. You do the benediction when it's all over. So no benediction tonight. We're just gonna say we see you again as we continue.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I would just like to say good evening for those folks who are listening, and wherever time or wherever time zone you are, whether it be morning, afternoon, or night. It's good that you're listening, and we're looking forward to you to continue this discussion. And if you haven't listened to our music yet, we have a lot of it on our Facebook page. You'll just go there and you'll see Bahama Brass Band. We also have a lot of YouTube clips. And as Pastor Barry mentioned, for those who want to invest or say give to support this ministry, the information is there, and you can feel free to do so as well. So we'll hear from you soon.
Thank you so much, Bishop.
Yes, I want to say, as I do today, we had a funeral on our island, and Brother Billy led the band because I'm presently out of country, and he had to hold the reins and arrange for the band to play today, and sacrifices made by this band. We believe in sacrifice.
Wow.
So all through the years, I came along, I met sacrifice going on, and I'm a part of it. So it has to keep on keeping on. And so, as I said, we need your help in touching the lives. We intend to touch every life that we come in contact with through our music. And we need your prayers to continue to pray for us. There's a whole lot to be said. There are some other stories of some other trips that we have not tapped into, but certainly we want, and our desire is to be vessels that the Lord will use. And God is searching for people everywhere who will serve Him and honor Him in spirit and in truth. And I am committed to being that vessel, and I'm encouraging all of our band members who are watching to let us continue to be faithful and keep on keeping on and doing what we do for the Master. We may not get too many thanks here, but we're working for our eternal reward. And so I just
Did you freeze up? Did the bishop just froze there on me?
I think so. I think he did.
Okay, so he's even dropped. So let's see if we get him back. If the bishop comes back in, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this song. This is the last. I'm gonna repeat this one that I played before. You didn't hear it the first time. Hopefully, Bishop will make connection back with us. That music can never grow old.
they'll
Where's the
be back.
bishop? Where's the bishop? Where's the bishop? Oh,
Yes, I'm right. I'm right.
you're blind now. Your camera is not on.
No,
I saw you a while ago, then I didn't see you again.
my camera's not on. I can see all of you.
Well, you can see because our camera is on.
Oh, I didn't turn my camera off. It blanked out.
I saw you and then I didn't see you again, so I'm not sure what happened. Oh, but my friends, it's been one wonderful evening, and I'm just thankful. Maybe the bishop battery went died or did or something. I don't know, but I thank you for joining and staying with us for the long time that we stayed, almost 2.5, just about 2.5 hours. But it's like, oh my God, we haven't exhausted what we could have talked about. And as you hear, there's so much about the band that we have learned and that we haven't yet learned. I'm sure there's a whole lot more that we will know. Here he comes again. So let's see.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, okay.
yeah. So I don't know what happened just now. But certainly, as I was saying, God bless you to every member of the Bahama Brass Band, Nassau, and Grand Bahama. I also want to share that Brother Billy lost his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and the funeral is going to be on Friday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and this is just what we do. And so I asked
Oh,
him,
no. That's a bad note to end on.
yeah, no, it's a bad note on one end, but when your life is hit with God, Christ and God, that's the best end right there. And so, but it's just a testament to show you our commitment
Wow.
that he would be here tonight, even though he's looking down the tunnel
Wow.
of grief. And I just want to share that tonight, that we're praying for him and his family, that God will give them grace while they sojourn this time of sorrow. And he's a wonderful assistant that stands with me through thick and thin, because sometimes it's not you, of course, Bishop. It is, being in leadership sometimes is not easy.
Hmm.
And when you have someone who will stand by you the way he stands by me, it makes the load a whole lot lighter. And I appreciate him for coming on the program tonight. I didn't know he was going to be, really up to it emotionally, but
Wow.
he told me, he says, I'm coming.
Wow.
I'm going to be
Wow.
there.
Wow.
And that just shows you the kind of backup I got.
Wow.
And so I want to continue to pray for him and his family.
Well, man, you have my sincerest condolences to you and the family in this time of grief. Only God knows what we need and how to pull us through these dark moments of our lives. Um, we've had a couple of deaths in our church circle just this week, past as well. You're never fully ready for your loved ones to go, even if you see it coming.
All right.
You mentally, emotionally, psychologically, you're never fully prepared for it. It's always shock your system, and God forbid if it was unexpected. But whatever it is, we are praying for you, my brother, that God gives you the strength. He knows how. He has done it over and over and over again, and He will do it for you as well. So we pray that everything goes well and that your wife get a good homegoing funeral, and that the Lord lift your spirit. And with men like Bishop Morris in your corner, and I'm sure you have good support. And the band as well, gonna play their lives out for you to make you happy. And they're going to play to make you happy. So God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Bishop, for your time. We don't know where in the world you are, but thank you for spending this time with us. Wherever you are, you're looking good. So stay there and stay good. And we will keep our conversation going. And I hope
Yeah.
that somewhere in the near future we can come back and we can bring the levels of the band, young, junior, as it progress into the senior band. I'd love to see them and maybe have some of the live instrument. Like, okay, play something. That'd be nice to have, and that'd be nice to have them play something.
Yes.
That'll be fascinating to play something live. So put that in the back of your mind, something that I'm thinking about.
Yes, sir.
We see you again next time, my friend. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook, and if you do TikTok, We're on TikTok as well, ORB Ministries everywhere. We'll see you again next time. And if you have a story you'd like to share, email me at orbministry@gmail.com. We'd love to see and hear what your story is, because stories are inspirational. Stories change lives, and you never know what your story will do until you tell it. All right, so God bless you. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of evening. Stay strong, stay safe. We're going to go off like how we came on. So hang in there, my friends. We will talk the last word before we go. Well, thank you for checking in on ORB Ministries. I trust that you will share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and stay tuned, because you never know what's next or who will join the conversation.